Hello, and welcome to a sort of different video. I've never done something like this before, so if it goes horribly wrong, I apologize now. And you're not going to see my face in this video, believe it or not. Mainly because I want to just talk to you. And I want to talk to you about scout cruisers and their function in taking out destroyers. Now, as you can see, I have designed my own very nice scout cruiser. It has got, well, to be honest, it's got 4 6-inch guns and 4 4-inch guns on it. I do keep considering adding in some more 4-inch guns, and I think I might be able to get them to fit. But it doesn't seem to want to fit, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe if I up the tonnage just a tad. Up the tonnage just a tad. Maybe that will allow me to fit in those ones. But it will allow me to get in an extra funnel, which is always good. And that has been something I've been wanting to fit in, an extra funnel. Now, as you can see, this has got 3 stacks. Its aft weight offset is 7.5%, which is not unusual. Kind of heavy, so I'm going to have to modify it a bit. But it's, if I'm going to add in more guns, which is what I want to do, then hopefully it'll work. Now, I could use 76mm guns instead of the 4-inch ones. And then I would have space for 8, which is what I think I'm going to do. I prefer the 4-inch gun, but and that's the thing. They don't offer you the 3-inch gun for these main guns here, but really they should, because then you'd be matching up the casemate guns with those, and it'd be more even. I like things being even. I know, I'm old-fashioned. She's got torpedoes in all the right places. And she's a good-looking ship, to be honest. I'm quite proud of this design. Okay, it's not my finest work. And frankly, I could probably have done slightly better. I'd prefer to have the 6-inch guns mounted there, make it more even. But the mast won't move, sadly enough. But that does allow me the extra 6-inch gun extra 4-inch guns I've been wanting to put in. Which is nice. And if I need to, I can stick some more 6-inch guns in there. Okay, so not as nicely lined out as their rear are. That the rear is honestly how I'd like the front to look, but you have to work within the systems you're allowed when you're doing these testings. And And we've got a lot of extra weight to play with, so I'm going to see what I can do about the speed. Let's take it down to 30. 30 knots should be good. We've got a veteran crew. We've got all the armor you'd want. I'm not sure why it's saying starboard weight offset 0.5%. I'm trying to look what's on the starboard that's not on the not anyone else. That. They're all fine. Guns are all the same. They're off. Hang on. There's a 3-inch gun decided to go disappearing from the casemate over here. Remember, if I had my way, these would all be 3%, but they would all be 4-inch guns. But, you know. Right end. So, ship is overweight currently, and the forebelt is slightly thicker than the main belt. The foreweight is also 4.7%, which is not good. Aft weight 14.3%. I don't like that. How are we going to offset? We're going to have to offset the foredeck weight somehow. Got lots of engine power. We've got lots of horsepower. This is the actual style of discussion you would have had if you'd been involved in constructing these ships. And the gives you 2 firing and takes the R4 set down. It looks more German than it does British. And I'm going for British. See, that's the thing. I'd like to put them there. Oh well, leave it there. Take off those. And now the full weight offset is 2.5%. But I've got a couple hundred extra tons. What should I use it for? Well, I think speed. Let's see if we can't get us up to 32 knots. Wow. "31 knots seems to be about the maximum before we go into really heavy weight strategies. If I take off those 3-inch guns, can I get it to 32 knots? Still 118 over. Foreweight is the heavy area, so let's look at the forebelt. Let's take it down a bit. Still over 100 tons over. Aft weight offset is 0.5%, so let's take the aft belt down a bit. Ship is overweight by 100 tons. Where am I going to get these 100 tons from? I know. Where do we think I'll get the 100 tons from? Let's see. What kind of front tower can we go? Oh, that looks cute. But no. I'm going to go for that one. That one looks a bit too Oh, that's even bigger. We'll try this one and see if we can get the 4-inch guns in this way. But no, that hasn't saved us enough weight. I don't know. It's always a balancing case with the systems. And you do want as good a towers as you can put in there because they are what give you the range. They're what give you the power in terms to reach out and hit your opponents. Engine efficiency is 34.3%. Funnel capacity is nowhere near enough. Ouch. I'm going to get told off. Well, let's have a look at my funnels. What have I got? I've got enhanced funnels. This is what I put on here. They're each cost me 160 tons, and each one has a value of 9.3 in funnel capacity. I'm going to have to do something about the boilers, aren't I? I'm going to have to make them forced. Just going to add up the weight even more. Engine capacity now at 90%. 100% engine capacity, and I've got 1 ton if I leave it at 1 knot. That's what I'm going to have to do, because otherwise these ships are never going to be any use to me. So 6,000 tons fully loaded. A little bit heavier. And I have to admit, these are not quite the eggshells that some of the scout cruisers were. I will admit they have a decent fore and aft belt, decent foredeck, main deck. Everything's quite decent. They're quite well armed, and yeah. Afterweight offset 3.2%. Take off those. Foreweight offset 4.6% is now heavy at the front. Is a bit of a never-ending battle in terms of getting this right and making sure you're happy with everything. Mm-hmm. Let's see, what should I like? What will make this fix me? I've got them on the front in their position. Foreweight are offset 2.2%. That's just going to bore anyone if I keep discussing about the foreweight offset, but it does actually matter. These things do have bearing. It's like if I stick this here, it gives it a better range of fire, but it also means it's more momentum, whereas it's going through more motion. Whereas if I stick it here, right in the center, that actually has slightly better likelihood of hitting the target it can hit. I've done the same at the aft. Have a look. But it's a nice design, and I will take it. But I'm going to have to fix the foreweight offset by probably cutting down the fore belt to zilch. Aft weight offset now is 6.5%. So let's try one. That's not balancing anything. 0.5% will do. It will. And she is now a fairly well-designed ship. And I'm going to have 2 of these versus 4 French destroyers. You can wish me luck. But one of the realities you have to realize, and this doesn't always go well in this game, so I'm going to admit this now. Okay. The doctrine for how close you want to get to engage your opponent. I don't have the fancy sighting gear which the big battleships have. I'm going to stick the AI on so the AI can get me closer. What I do have are a lot of fast-firing, short-range guns which are all manually aimed. Because they are manually aimed. This works for me, though. Because my aim is not to get into a torpedo duel with the destroyers. That's not what I want at all. My aim is to get into a gun duel with them. And ideally, I want to do that gun duel either after they have wasted their torpedoes on someone else, or wasted them trying to fire at me and missing, or alternatively, I want to get in so close they can't actually hit me. Now, Pegasus is doing a very good job of this at the moment. She's got smoke going up. She's looking very good. And she's causing the destroyers a lot of problems. Now, I'm not sure what Dane is off doing, but in knowing Dane, she's never far behind when it comes to causing trouble. Ah, there's Dane. And the torpedoes are going off harmlessly in that direction. Right. So, they're doing nice figure of eights over here, but that doesn't really help when it comes to fighting the battle or killing the enemy, does it? Because they're all doing nice pirouettes and figure of eights. You might have noticed a small problem here. This is nothing wrong with the computer program. This is the problem with a lot of the doctrine as it's understood today. The doctrine as it was understood at the time called for something slightly different from the cruisers than to sit out at this range and let them basically just fire torpedoes at midair. No. This little destroyer, well, it should not be still afloat, really. But, you know, it's still floating. The reason it's still floating, though, is because the cruisers are trying to engage it from almost maximum range for them. And now you're noticing a small problem with the idea of engaging at these ranges. And there were a couple of people who talked about ranges of 500 meters or even further. And the thing is, that's not what they're talking about. If I did in this computer simulation what they'd be doing in real life, I would be a lot closer than 500 meters. I would be staring right down the barrel of the guns. Let's see how she's doing. She seems to be 100%. She's got plenty of ammunition left. Plenty of 4-inch ammunition left. And so she's even got some torpedoes left. She's only in the 6-inch gun range, and this is the problem. If a 6-inch shell does hit, that's going to cause a lot of damage. But the point is, That's not really enough. But they are now out of... Opinte is now out of torpedoes. Out of torpedoes. Out of torpedoes. And I'm guessing number 4 is out of torpedoes as well. So, I've done my job. They're out of torpedoes. It's time to take off the AI. Turn the division into line. Hopefully avoid the torpedoes. They're supposed to be doing automatic torpedo avoidance. Thank you. And come in close. Because the thing is, these ships don't need armor to really resist most of the fire that should be coming from a destroyer. Although they certainly have some armor. Nope. Their purpose is to get really close and stop these destroyers from ever getting in range of a battleship. That's the point. I don't think Der Serco is long for this world, and I have this feeling that these other colleagues aren't either. I'm impressed with the French construction, actually, that it's still surviving at this rate. But hey ho. As you can see, though, Dane, even with those 3 inches of production, has just lost her commander. It was, according to this, sitting like a coward in the protective section of the ship. And ultimately, this is what these ships will do. They're to close down the destroyers and stop the destroyers. They are not supposed to engage in artillery duels with them. That's not their purpose. Destroyers aren't for artillery duels, and neither are these cruisers. If you start to think of these ships as standing off and engaging with their guns as fast as they can at rapid range and at long range, then you are misunderstanding what their purpose is. They're not long-range engagement tools. They're not bombarding the enemy destroyers. Their job is to sink them. And with these guns, you don't sink even a destroyer at long range. See? This cruiser has far better fire control than that destroyer does. That destroyer is a far more small and far more maneuverable target. And so Pegasus has to get very close to get a kill. At the moment, we're at 2.8 kilometers range, and honestly, that is too far to get a kill. And again, that's not a problem with this game. This game is one of the most accurate systems I have seen for measuring fall of shot. Okay, it's not perfect, nothing is, but it's a lot better than many of the others. And now, yeah, it's managing to get away, but it has been hit enough. But that's not a very quick kill. Remember, I've got the time accelerated 3 times, 5 times. And so ultimately, turning on the AI again while I'm talking to you, this is the point I'm making about the conning towers. The conning towers are fitted because that is the practice. You fit a conning tower, you fit that space to a ship. But the Royal Navy very quickly begins to realize that actually a conning tower isn't necessarily the best way to go. And as you look at the designs as time goes on, it becomes more and more a case of the conning tower is just a hardened space rather than necessarily an armored space. They're not armored to deal with the level of equivalent firepower coming in. They're armored to deal with to provide some protection. And also, you have the other problem with them is that it's not like a modern CIC. That's another thing that's often misunderstood about a conning tower. It doesn't have the same amount of access to data and information as you would get in the command center of a modern warship. When we see captains today commanding their ships from the CIC, you have banks and banks of video displays and banks of data basically being revealed to them and relayed to them. And that is in many ways because most of the combat is taking place beyond the range of even enhanced human eyesight. So you have to use electronic means. However, if you ever look at those programs when they're dealing with things which are close range, for example, there was recently a program on about a Type 23 on a not BBC, on a British television program about Type 23, HMS Northumberland, if I'm remembering correctly. And when she is dealing a night engagement and is dealing with a Russian spy ship, they're all on the bridge because they're within visual range and they are trying to watch the ship and manage it. And they can best see from the bridge. Because whilst a camera is great, a camera cannot pan and zoom at the same time. A human eye can. And that is ultimately what you're talking about in World War One and the 1910s. The human eye is what matters. So the conning tower does itself out of business because its purpose isn't the same. A shielded box is a great idea for the Victorian Navy. It's not for the post-Victorian Navy. The Victorian Navy is thinking about all sorts of things which, require. But it sounds great when you're talking about it and you're discussing with politicians and foreign dignitaries. Oh, yes, well, we can preserve our best even in the toughest action by this thick armored box. But that sounds good on paper until you actually try to use it. And as you can see, my conning towers, and I gave them 3-inch conning towers, are 50% effective, according to this. And that was against 5-inch and 3-inch gunfire. From longer ranges than I actually think many of the fights would have taken place at. because I think for both the destroyers and the cruisers, as is testified to in World War One, getting close was the advantage. And it's basically who gets into kill range first, or rather kill position first, because you can be within range of the guns and still not be in a position for having a good firing solution, and you could be in range of the torpedo and still not be in a place with a good firing solution. And ultimately, that is what the battle's over. And ultimately, in this fight, the poor French destroyers never stood a chance because they never got into range to have a good torpedo firing solution. And this ship is going at 30 knots. In real life, it would have bugged out a long time ago. But it's stuck here. Its three friends would probably have died. I can certainly see that as being realistic. But this one could have bugged out and survived. As it is, it's stuck in this battle. And it's got no way of surviving. I almost feel sorry for it, really. Oh, it's now flooding. That's not good. And I have to admit, these destroyers tend to be far more heavily built than the real things were on this game. They actually sometimes even have armor. And this was quite a well-designed destroyer. But yeah, that's its entire thing has been depending upon speed to survive, and it's gone. And as you can see, 4 kilometers. It's very close range for this game, but in real life, I think they'd be getting closer. Because in real life in the North Sea, in even mild day, well, on even a mild day, the waves might make you disappear. And that's the other small problem with this game, in that I would say that it is on the tough side of slightly, how do I put this? The waves tend to be calmer. But as you can see, even in this calm weather, the destroyer can disappear behind them. North Sea, it's even worse, and you need to get close. You need to get really close to guarantee a kill. Bye bye, little Dee. I have a feeling you're not long for this world. I didn't think you were long for this world earlier, but then for some reason, my cruisers decided to go away from you and give you a break. I think they were feeling sorry and hoping you would escape. Oh well. That can't be a good sight for the crew on that poor destroyer. These two light cruisers bearing down. Ouch. I think that was a 6-inch shell which just penetrated. Yeah, she's not got much of a stern left. Flooding. And let's see, range. Yeah, range is 2 kilometers, getting less and less. The one thing I would say about this game is I think it does, to an extent, overestimate the long range accuracy of cruiser guns. And when I say long range, I would say anything over 4 kilometers is getting pretty darn long range for them in World War One. Maybe against equivalent or bigger targets, but yeah, non-dissing. Ouch. Anyway, I hope that explained a little bit more of my perspective for you on conning towers and why I agree with some of the people at the time in that I don't think they were worth it. I think they were an expensive addition, which didn't really help things. I know. Thank you very much. This is normal videos will be resumed tomorrow. Take care.